Welcome to Massive Beers. My name is Matt. We do beer stuff. We're going to do this beer stuff. It's a Fidens beer. It's a Fidens Underground Double IPA. This comes courtesy of Steve from Fidens. I actually went up and did a podcast with him the Sunday after Beer Tube Palooza. And he sent me home with some beers. This be one of them. Let's dive into it. Podcast went awesome. Give it the view. Had a good time. Had a great time hanging out. The whole weekend was fantastic. Sent me home with a couple beers. A bunch of stuff was for his anniversary, which is already passed. But go check out the podcast we did. Should be up by the time I send this to the old internets. If not, then shortly after. Today's actually the Sunday after the podcast. I'm going to try to get the podcast up the following week. I'm trying to get it up this week, but time got away from me. Anyway, label-wise, it's literally their logo, their font, in some words. I'm not going to say I love it, but same time. That looks like a hazy IPA to me. Not sure about you. Big head because this guy pours the beers the awesomest. Good nose. That smells good. Man, it really does remind me of some of like the old school like bangers. You know, like some Treehouse, some Trillium, some EQ kind of fruit juiciness, like almost like a triple IPA as far as impact in the nose. Like actually smells quite reminiscent of like Straight Outta Laboratory from Equilibrium. Not nearly as, I think that beer might have a little lactose in it, so it's minus that. Hops on this are Talus, Citra, and Simcoe, and it's coming in at 8.2%. Man, there's just this cool kind of greeny, weedy thing, and there's a big orange Julius vibes, and this soft little prickly starfruit kind of the tropical thing. Nothing's over the top, like in your face, but it's robust. You know you're drinking something. You know you're gonna go into something that is, 7 and change, 8% ABV. You know, it's not just a soft little kind of pale ale nose, which is what tends to be the case more often than not nowadays. A lot of these double IPAs smell and drink like single IPAs. I want the opposite. I want my doubles to drink like doubles, or my singles to drink like doubles. This, at least aromatically, comes off as a pretty robust kind of double IPA that I want to drink, which we're going to do right now. Cheers, y'all. That's delicious. That is delicious. I mean, this has been talked about with Fidens, and we talked about it in the podcast with Steve. They're not afraid of bitterness, A lot of these new school IPAs makers really go out of the way and drop every skosh of bitterness they possibly can in their hazies. And, Fidens don't really mess with that. They actually do boil hops. And they do a lot of their dry hopping on the cold side. And they're just not afraid of bitterness being in there. Now, I'm not going to sit here and tell you this is a super bitter forward IPA. It's juicy. It's new school to a max. But there's this sturdy bitterness that rides throughout the whole thing that I honestly think gives it legs, It's just not sweet on sweet on sweet. It's just not juice on juice on juice. Sure, you're getting this nice melange, this tropical fruit citrus kind of melange with little bubblegum kind of vibes that really kind of gives you this kind of Merriam-Webster dictionary of what a really well done New England style IPA is. But throughout the whole thing, there's this bitterness. There is this weedy, danky, kind of beastery weedy. It's not like nuggy. It's kind of just this, it's not oniony because it's not that, but it has this kind of dankiness to it, this slightly resinous dankiness to it that just keeps the beer on track, and that's why I said when I have legs, I almost want to say on rails, which is kind of like a video game term when you talk about like single player video games and stuff like that, stuff being on rails, and people kind of look at that as a negative. That's what I love. That's my favorite part about video games is single player experience. It tells a story. In order to tell a story properly, whether it's in video game format or movies or in a beer, it's not like you don't have to be told where to go, but you don't want people to linger and dilly-dally in one place too long. You want things to move at a certain pace. And I believe, even with New England style IPA, that's where bitterness plays its role. It keeps everything on track and just doesn't get one note one-sided. And the sweetness that, well, fun, listen, sweet is awesome, dude. There's a reason why people like dessert. There's a reason why people like, candy. It's great. But when it's so one note, it just gets boring. A lot of people don't think that way. A lot of people like, just keep giving me that sugar, son. But I think it just gets boring. It's just like, okay, that's tasty. The same way just shooting Hershey syrup into my mouth hole is tasty. But after a while, you're just like, I gotta stop. I don't think that'll happen with this beer because there is this bitterness, this counterpoint to that sweetness. That really does. Wow, that's the worst field goal I've ever seen in my life. Sorry, I'm watching football at the same time. Anyway, yeah, without that, I think the beer kind of gets, meanders and gets a little bit boring. And it's just like, I got shit in my forehead. It's like, I got something on my forehead. Yeah, I mean, this citrus heavy, tropical fruit leaning, just melange. It's very much kind of like a fruit medley kind of thing going on here. It's just not bursting with this, and this. It's very much running the gamut of what you'd expect from a really well done New England style IPA with those big orange notes, citrus, pineapple, all that kind of stuff in combination with those mango, and all that kind of stuff mashed together in a very beautiful way with this cool kind of resiny, danky kind of split, this bitterness that keeps everything on the rails, super bomb mouthfeel, silky, smooth, crisp, but at the same time dense enough to let you know you're thinking something or drinking something fun without getting heavy-handed. And it really is honestly one of the better double IPAs I've had as of late, just tasty. That's the name of the game, man. Tasty in a way that you can. This whole can is gonna get crushed fast. Let's put it that way. So yeah, there you go. I don't even know what else to tell y'all. I don't know what to tell y'all. Maybe I'll post this bowl tonight. So the whole spiel at the beginning where I'm like, go see that podcast. It's not up yet. It will be soon. But yeah, it's really cool because I kind of want to put them up in, because they kind of, maybe I'll do 3. Am I going to feel that weird? Posting 3 reviews in one night? Because I have a stout from them. Because I kind of have to do it now. I'm talking about it. I reviewed their Italian pills they did with the seed. It was fantastic. Now I'm reviewing this. I could probably squeeze in that stout and do a trifecta. Trifecta on Sunday? Let's do it. But yeah, okay, we'll move on to that one. So there you go. Yeah. That Pilsner was fantastic. This IPA is really good. And one of the better ones I've had, Mount Rushmore. Yeah, we'll say it. 2. We're 2 for 2 on that. Let's talk about Fidens. What's your dilly? Have you been there? Have you had their beers? Have you had these beers? When did this come out? I know Steve gave me some of the stuff that was for his anniversary. I don't know if this is part of it. Have you had this beer? What did you think of it? You think I'm telling lies? You think I'm spot on? Whatever, down there, let's talk about it. Okay. Hopefully you guys enjoyed our review. Hopefully you're enjoying a little bit of double IPA goodness right now. Hope to see you next time. Cheers, y'all.